Good afternoon. As you all know, we were talking about the lesson that is growth of nationalism. So already I have completed the one of the most important topic of the lesson. So that is industrial revolution. In the beginning itself, I had said in this class we will be studying two major concepts. One is industrial revolution, and one more will be imperialism. So before I go to the conclusion topic of the lesson, that is growth of nationalism, that is imperialism. So let us go back to the previous classes. Let us just once have a glance of the complete chapter. So when I started the lesson, the introduction we had given, and next we started talking about the two different concepts, that was domestic system of production and factory system of production. So you came to know about the two differentiation, domestic as well as the factory system of production. Then we entered into the first and foremost topic of the lesson, so that was industrial revolution. Okay, where the industrial revolution started. Then after that we started talking about the features of the industrial revolution. So what made industrial revolutions to start? So we had discussed. Then we talked some of the causes for the start of industrial revolution, especially the surplus capital and capital investment, capitalist, all like this. So we started talking in the previous classes. Then after that we started talking about one of the most important topic of the lesson. So that was impact of industrial revolution. So when this industrial revolution started, when we entered into the modern world, so there we had several changes had taken place. So that changes we studied in the form of impact, especially the political impact, economic impact, and the social impact, or political effects, social effects, or economic, I mean, effects. So that's the concept. We had seen it in the previous classes. Okay, so these are all concepts which we had studied in the previous classes. So because of the industrial revolution, when this industrial revolution started to take up, when the industrial revolution started to change the entire scenario of the world, especially in the European countries, it gave a concept, or it resulted in many changes. So in that, one of the most important change was, that is a concept called imperialism, which led for the growth of nationalism, after the industrial revolution. Okay, so we are not going in detail about the concept called imperialism, that when you come to class 10th, so we are going to talk about this concept imperialism. But just what do you mean by imperialism? What is the speciality in this imperialism concept? So that and all we are going to see in this particular, today's class. So when we talk about the imperialism, it is being said that imperialism, okay, the imperialism, it is a kind of policy, it is. Okay, it is a kind of policy which was introduced in the by the European countries. Okay, it is just a kind of policy. What type of policy it is? It is nothing, extending country's power. Okay, one country's power is extending to another country. Okay, extending that particular power to another country, or influencing the other country by using a military force. That's nothing but imperialism. Imperialism is nothing but it's a kind of policy extending a country's power. So my country's power, I am influencing on other country by using a military power. Okay, that's nothing but the imperialism concept. Okay, and next, second point, if you see, okay, second point, if you see, it's very clear here. The policy says how you are going to extend your country's power or influence. How you are going to, control it. You are going to control it, or you are going to implement it by taking over the nation. You are not you don't belong to that nation, or you don't belong to that place, but you are taking that place and taking over the nation, and you are doing a domination. Okay, taking over the nation and doing a domination in politics, cultural, and economic by powerful nations, it's nothing but imperialism. So that's how you are going to extend your country's power. I am not extending my country's power only in on one area, that is economic, cultural, as well as political. I am dominating. My culture is being implemented there. Economically, I am taking over the country under my control. But that's nothing but the imperialism. Okay, the imperialism, when it started because of the Industrial Revolution, it gave a concept for us called colonialism. Okay, colonialism means it's a method which is used by a powerful nation, a powerful country, acquires what? The land of other countries, controls over the other country. By capturing or by acquiring the land, they control the other countries. That's nothing but colonialism. Okay. Like this, many European nations, many imperial European nations means like the countries taking over the other countries under, that is the imperial. Now like India, under British imperial rule. British people were not belongs to our country, but they ruled us. So like that, many lands were taken by the European nations and they began the imperial rule. Okay, so how they implemented the imperial rule? By power, by holding position to keep up their prestige. So that made the colonies to be established. So in that best two example we are having Asia continent and Africa. In Asia continent, best example is India. Okay, the power of British, position of British, prestige of British was implemented almost for 200 years in India. Okay, so why on the name of colonialism or on the name of colonies? Because they called our country as a colonies. They implemented an imperial rule. Imperial rule, they don't belong to our country. British are not our country's people. They are outside. They came, power, position, prestige, everything they started implementing on us. So like this, even Africa. So like this, European countries or European nations, they started implementing the concept of imperialism, concept of colonialism in many various countries throughout the world. Okay, why they what made them? Why this imperialism, why this colonialism concept was practiced by an European nations means because of industrial development. Their industrial development, the capital what they were getting. Okay, they were getting enormous capital. That capital they wanted to invest it. They wanted to double it. Okay, so that made them to practice the concept of colonialism and the imperialism. Okay, like steady source of raw materials. They were available very cheaply. They were getting materials to the factories, and whatever the raw materials they took it to their factories, they manufactured it. They made it into the finished product. To sell that, they had many markets were there throughout the country, throughout the European countries. So that markets exposed the finished product to sell them. They got the profit. Again, that profit they started to invest it on the different countries. Okay, this made the concept of imperialism and the colonialism practice. It's because of industrial development. If industrial development would have been not there, if they would have not got the profit under this industrial revolution, for sure that they would have not started the concept called, or we would have not come across the concept called colonialism or imperialism. Okay, that's the one aspect which we are having it. And next concept, if you see, that is the impact of imperialism. So when this imperialism started, when this colonialism started, almost in the 20th century, it had a great impact. Okay, like the 19th and 20th century. So we had a great impact. So what are that impacts? If you see, one is instant rivalry. So among European countries only, slowly, the clashes started to take place. Okay, why the clashes started to take place? Because of economic competition. Okay, financially my country is on top. To prove that, instant rivalry started to take place between the European countries. Okay, small clashes. Okay, one country, in order to show the competition or in order to show the superiority of the one particular country, the instant rivalry took place. That instant rivalry created an numerous wars. Okay, within these European countries, within this European, continent only, the numerous war only for superiority, for power, position, and prestige. For only these four concepts, n number of wars started to take place in the European nations. Okay, so not only the n number of wars took place in the European nations, but it led to an international tension. World-wise, the tension started to create. That tension in 1914 resulted in First World War. You know, there are two world wars. First World War in 1940, Second World War in First World War in 1914, Second World War in 1940. So like this two world war took place. Because of the two world war, we call it as an international tension. Why? What is the reason? It's because of imperialism. It's because of colonialism, which made the concept of nationalism later on. Okay, so these are the impacts: intense rivalry, competition, numerous wars, intense international tension, outbreak of First World War. Okay, so just an industrial revolution, just a start of industries for the benefit of the nation, for the benefit of the people, finally it turns into the world wars, international tension. Okay, so that's the concept of imperialism, so which we are having it. Okay, so here the imperialism concept comes to the conclusion. So as we conclude the lesson, okay, so as we conclude the lesson, so overall if you see, okay, overall if we see, in the European country, England, that is Britain, was one of the most powerful empire which became because of the industrial development. Because the Britain, England, British, they are the one who exposed the people to start of industries. They are the people who began the industrial revolution. They are the people who started the industries. They are the people who taught what is the industries or what is industry. So from them, the revolution started to take place. And when we see at the end of the 19th and 20th century, the Britain or British or the England, they are the powerful empire in the world. And to take up that powerful empire in the world, so many nations started trying. So that only turned into a world war. So why the Britain or British or the England became a powerful empire in the 19th and the 20th century, if you see, they had rapid industrial growth. Very fastly, the industries they started and the growth of the industries took up to a great height. So that's the one. Second one is, since the rapid industrial growth they had it, economic gain. Financially, day by day, the Britain government started to go to a great extent. Okay, financially, they became very powerful. They became very strong, where other countries could not compete with the Britain. That is the one. And moreover, India became the jewel. Okay, India was under their control. It supplied numerous resources. Okay, numerous resources, especially raw materials, especially cotton, indigo. Okay, cotton and indigo and spices. These three sources were cheaply available for British people from India. So India also one of the part for the economic gain and rapid industrial growth for the British people. So that's the one. Then their political dynamics, the way they ruled with the different policies. Just example, you take India itself. 200 years, 300 years, if British have ruled, just you think of their political ideas, the political strategy or the political statistics they used in our country, how it would be. Like doctrine of lapse policy or divide and rule policy, subsidiary alliance, dual government. So many policies. All these are all political strategies and political ideas which they used it. Nobody could compete with the political ideas of Britain people or England. Okay, British. Okay. Then they had many colonies, colonial economy. They had many. Okay, when we compare with other nations, so British, the England government had many colonies throughout the world. In that, India is one. Okay, so almost 200 years. So British people had lot of enormous wealth or gain of enormous wealth. Okay, so that's just for your conclusion part. So I have taken it here. But till here, it's very important for you. Okay, so that's about the growth of nationalism and the concept called industrial revolution and imperialism concept, so which we are having here. So this is imperialism and the industrial concept. So led to the concept called growth of nationalism. So coming classes, you will be studying about the concept called the growth of nationalism. So what the nationalism made, okay, how this industrial revolution and how these industrial aspects. So that and all we will be studying in the coming classes. But growth of nationalism concept, we are not studying about, usually since this year the syllabus has been reduced. So we are not studying the nationalism concept which developed in the European countries like America, French, Russia and all. Straight away we are getting into the Indian nationalism concept. So we are getting into Indian nationalism, concept in the coming chapters. So next class, so let us move with India in the 18th century. So how our India in 18th century, how it was under the British control. So we are going to see in the coming chapter or coming classes. So we are going to see. So that's about the growth of nationalism, and in that imperialism and industrial concept. So once again you revise it and you go through the textbook once. So very shortly we will be having a test on this particular lesson. So that is the industrial revolution or growth of nationalism. So the dates for the lesson, let you know, through the message I will be sending. So after the completion of these notes, or after completion of this particular chapter, completion of notes, so let the notes be sent to my WhatsApp number, and after that, so we will be conducting or we will be having a test on it. Okay, so once again I'm saying, go through the textbook and keep the running notes and have revision once. If you have any doubts, let me know in the next classes. Thank you.